allegiance.
It's this way. Around the chair.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Chavez. Mr. Vasquez.
Present.
Mr. Kim.
Present.
Mr. Guevara.
Present.
Mr. Navarro.
Present.
Mr. Dominguez. Ms. Degollado. Do I have a motion to approve previous minutes from March 13th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, if I may, would it be possible that we can move items? We have the engineer for 2 subdivisions. so
Okay.
we can,
Okay, do I need a motion for that, or do I just move
Well,
it?
okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, I think we have a guest that would like to say something. Would it be possible to move that up so our guest can speak before the engineers start talking? That way he
Well,
can...
that is the next item. Is
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the-
he's part of that, okay.
No, it can only be under communication.
That's the
okay.
very first one. The action items are the ones moving.
Okay.
It's up to you.
So we're moving up the engineers before our guest?
No.
No?
I'm
So our
sorry.
guest first and then?
I'm sorry. It's because the guest is under communications. That falls before the items for discussion.
Right, but she made a request to move up.
Just because that's faster, the,
Because I think the action
I
items are
thought you-
non-controversial.
correct.
Yeah.
Well, whichever, yeah, okay, that's fine.
And then
That's fine.
I thought it was because the election was number one.
Non-controversial stuff, and then
The
we'll
election was number one, that's why I thought that you were going.
Okay.
All right, Mr.
That's
Garcia
fine.
doesn't mind for us to move up the items,
Okay.
and then we'll get them done quickly, and then he'll have the floor. Okay, so do I have a motion to move up the items?
I make a motion that we move up items for discussion with possible actions, items 1, 2, and 3 on our agenda to go before communications and announcements.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Action item 1. Is Helen going to come and talk about it?
Is this for election of bikes?
Madam-
Oh, yes,
Oh,
that's what I
yeah.
thought
Sorry.
you were moving over that one, but no.
Okay, we need to have an election for board vice chair.
Well, Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to nominate Victor Vasquez to be vice chair, if he'll accept the nomination.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Thank you.
opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, item number 2, Antler Crossing subdivision, parkland dedication.
That's Fairview?
Yes.
With Fairview? You want to explain Fairview? Because they're with green.
Yes, I will. This subdivision came before to the Parks Board with as Fairview subdivision, but they submitted a new master plan with a new name, Antler Crossing subdivision, and they added 2 additional lots. So what was approved, it increased the amount of cash in lieu that they were proposing, and the neighborhood park improvement fee increased too. So we wanted to put you up to date to those items. This subdivision has 599 residential lots, and it's next to the I-35 frontage road and south of San Isidro Parkway, just right next to Divine Mercy area. That will be the park that we will be putting the money to improve. And we just wanted to let you know that it increased. Now the parkland dedication for 599 residential lots, it's 2.39 acres. that it's a cash payment in lieu of land, 45,000 per acre or fraction of an acre, which comes to an amount of $105,300. And the total neighborhood park improvement fee for those 599 residential lots will be $1,888 with $86. So the total cash payment that will be providing to the city will be $293,386.
And the developer and the city are both in agreement that cash in lieu is best.
That was what was approved in previous park, when they came here to the Parks Board.
Okay.
They approved that motion.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that the developer is in agreement with this?
Excuse me?
The
Yes.
developer is in agreement?
Yes.
Were they gonna send somebody today to?
They were gonna send somebody. They called and they said, "Do you need us there?" And I said, "Are you gonna change your proposal? Are you gonna?" Because what they came here the first time, they said, "We're gonna pay cash in lieu instead of giving you the land." And I said, "We're gonna change that." And they said, "No, we wanna continue with the cash in lieu." And I said, "Well, you increased 2 more lots, so it's gonna increase." And they said, "That's fine."
Okay,
So
you
they
did
already
commu-
have these numbers, and they said, "Okay, so since it's just an update, we won't be going to the meeting."
Okay.
So,
Are there any questions, or do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the, I guess we would be approving the name change and the adjustment to, and I make that a motion simply because staff is saying they already talked to the development group and the engineers, so it seems to be in order, so I make that motion to support staff recommendation.
Second. I recall their presentation from the first go around, 2 months ago.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Good evening.
good evening. We have here Mr. Oscar Castillo from Pegua Consulting for our next subdivision, which is Green Ranch subdivision. Is the same case. They updated the master plan, and they increased the lots of the subdivision. Therefore, the amount change of what was proposed. Would you like to?
Yes. Yes, as Ms. Cruz was saying, is the same layout that was before. This was the previous layout that we sent, that we brought before. It was 293 lots. We have we calculated it with 300 to get the 1.20 acres. Now, the last 2 phases, one that is in preliminary plat, the other one is just in design, which is 10B and 11. The zoning, 10B we already changed the zoning to R1B, which makes the width of the lots 35. So instead of 54 as we had before, now we have 67. And same thing we're going to do with the number 11, with phase 11, for a total of 310.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Did you say you added more land, or you just made the lot smaller?
We made the lot smaller.
Oh, okay.
Before there were R1MH, which makes the width, the minimum width, to be 42. Now we made them R1B, which you can make the width as narrow as 35 feet. So that made, so we were able to get like 14 more lots, 16 more lots. And so the line needed is 1.21 acres, which it was previously was on 2.95 was accepted on a previous meeting. And also the parks fee, is 314, right?
Yes.
So it went up from 93,000 to 97,000. So one of the things that we're doing with this, or what we want to do, is we brought some cost estimates from actual contractors and suppliers of the things that we're gonna do for the park. And just for your approval, so that you check that, all that. But they add up to 93,000 plus, we just got the cost from the city. That's something that we just got it last night, and so we didn't send it to you, but the meter for let me see where I have it.
It's because the developer is proposing to do the improvements in the
Oh,
park.
sorry, yes.
So that's why they're bringing the cost estimates, so we can review them and approve the improvements to be done in the park.
So that they can start.
Can someone remind me why we're not doing cash in lieu? Why we're accepting the 2.34 acres?
This was accepted in 2016,
Okay.
so it already went to council, and that's why we're respecting that, honoring that.
That would be the reminder.
Question, you're changing the zone, so you will not be putting mobile home then?
No.
You
No,
switched that.
and on the rest, there's no mobile homes on those
I was gonna say.
6. No,
Okay.
it's just regular homes.
Okay.
So now, even if somebody would want to, they can. Now it's R1Bs. And then the 1-inch meter, it's this comes from the city of Laredo. Is 1,572, and on these plans we need 4. So that comes up to 6,290, and we need 1.5 inch meter for irrigation, and that's 3,201.89. And so the total, plus the 93,000, it comes up to 100,677, which is more than the 97 that is required.
And this is not an HOA park, right? The city will take over maintenance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When it comes to, excuse me, madam,
Yes.
when you get to the street crossing, does the city give you the requirements for the signage for that? Or
We
is that
got-
traffic?
Traffic
does
is
it?
too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The crossing, the signage that they're gonna need.
The crosswalks.
Because you
and all
have
that, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, and so, but that's a traffic issue.
And the major, I guess, part is in the middle, which is like 1.2 acres. I mean, just that one fills the requirement of the parks. And I don't know if you have the cost estimates, so mainly it's just so that you check them. Like we got all the things that we're gonna get. We got quotes, the real quotes, and so as soon as it's approved, the developer will start.
So it's an update to the master plan that they had, the proposal. So we recommend the approval of the land that they're dedicating, and with 1.21 acres, that is what is required for parklands, and the improvements to be done by the developer with an amount equal or to exceed the park improvement fee that they have. So if it exceeds, that's better.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I think it's gonna be easily exceeded. There's a few other things that, but things that would have a hard cost. There's some soft cost that probably we didn't include, but all the hard cost is there, and we already included.
Can you give us an overview of what they're putting into the park? Just
They're gonna be putting a trail for people to walk, and some picnic tables with some lighting, irrigation, and trees, some
It's your
landscape.
landscape area.
Is there a timeline for the completion of that?
According to ordinance, once they have the, what is it? the agreement signed with the city that they're gonna dedicate the land. They have, I think, 3 months or 6 months to finish.
The ordinance changed a couple of
Recently.
meetings ago, and it was reduced from 36 months to 18 months for the completion of the entire project.
So,
And we
And the
will-
trail,
by this
is that
council, right?
linear trail
Yes.
or just around the park? That,
It is a linear, and then there's
Okay.
like a little over 1.2 acres in the middle that goes all the way around. That's the overall, and then here's the, I'm sorry. There's some, this is I guess the central part, like the main part, I would say. You know, here's the landscape area, the trees that are gonna be placed there,
No.
and the
This
trail.
is still yet undeveloped, we'll have some more lots
That's
here.
That's more or less.
Will the
This
park
is
be
the
visible from
pedestrian
any main
and
streets?
Yes, sir.
It-
Or is it just another neighborhood park?
You know, like, it just crosses residential streets.
No.
They- Based on the elevation difference, it may be not very visible, but a little bit visible from People's Boulevard, which is a local collector, it's a 60-foot right of way. So, the best answer probably would say would be no.
this subdivision is up north in District 7 by Mines Road and south to El Pico Road, so it's way up.
So what parks are near it? Father McNabo or no?
That would be,
Robert Mueller.
No, sir,
Robert
there's an
Mueller.
existing park there.
Robert Mueller would be the closest.
But
Indian
it's not
Sunset.
specific.
But it's
it's quite a distance.
the closest, but I think it's more than 2 miles, for sure.
Yeah, I think this will be, you know, and we're trying to do also some other things, or the developer is trying to do some other, like a little wider, to go to the detention pond. This is, I mean, this is not part of the detention pond, but we're trying to unite this with the detention pond. So
As soon as
we-
future phases come out, we are planning to integrate the whole, trail around the rest of the phases, and also proposing maybe another stretch here next to the, coming north here in the stretch here. We're planning to, on this new phase here coming up, we plan to stretch another trail around, so we can come down here and connect over, And as Mr. Navarro proposed, maybe include it here in the detention pond, the soccer field. I'll pitch it out there, see what we can do.
Will there be any parking?
No, there's no parking, there's not. And the reason I guess behind it is just that it'll be just it's a technically a community park. Like we wouldn't want to integrate parking into it because there's homes like right near it, so we wouldn't want to create any chaos there. Just like a walking, jogging trail, natural kind of scenery park.
And one of the main ideas on this was for everybody to use their bikes there. At one point, one of the concepts way back then, we had some parking, and we met with Councilman Alcal, and he said, no, I want them to, I prefer to put that money into trails, or to extend the trail from one end to the other or something, so that people walk, so that everybody can, if you live here, or you can take the trail and be, walk to the main park, or similar to North Central Park, even though I know they have some parking lots and everything, but that was the idea behind it.
How far are the closest lots of residential spaces from the park?
They're within the
But in the sense, in the future, because of expansion, could we foresee that, we don't want the issue of, obviously the administration is going to be getting the phone calls like, hey, they keep parking in front of my yard, my driveway in front of my house.
And
Is that something that we could, that could be reviewed as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I think that the main people that will use it is people that wants to walk to, like, there's no baseball fields, there's no soccer fields or anything that will drive the need for the parking.
Curbside parking, anything? Just anywhere where you could park on the edge of the curb, anywhere there?
No.
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 This is the concept of one of your pocket parks,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, it would be maybe something like Las Flores,
Correct.
something that I don't remember, I don't recall if we had seen anything with parking there.
No.
Las Flores, so.
Because it's more like for the neighborhood.
Monday?
Yeah, and it's, it is a bit
And
hidden,
this
so.
is following what we have as a recommendation as part of the Viva Laredo plan, the comprehensive plan is asking for this type of, I guess, facilities, and trying to, promoting the walking and the bike riding.
Yeah, because I see it as the same discussion that we, ultimately, we wouldn't want those residents to have to cross through Mines Road or have to get to their nearest park, so that's ultimately safer,
Right.
so.
That's right.
So.
Because remember that we accepted the dedication and donation of land for trails too in Emerald Riverview, which is close by to that area too, so that people are not gonna be needing to cross to this park. They're gonna have their own park. So.
On the other side of.
Have any further questions?
Are there any more questions, or does anybody have a motion?
I move we accept the recommendation of staff to accept their proposal.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you very much.
We'll review this, can I
Sure.
see this one?
Absolutely. I'll send it.
These are our copies?
You're welcome. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, have a good day.
Thank you.
We have a guest. We'll move up communications. Do I need to have a motion for that?
A motion to address communications.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries. All right, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself and let us know what you'd like to tell us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. My name is Gilbert Garcia, and really I'm in the capacity of a private citizen. It seems that in these type of meetings, you can learn a lot more than be up there at the city council. And down here, you use layman's terms, where in city council, I don't know if it's purposely done or what, but it seems that you go in there and you learn less than what you went in with. So that's the purpose of this. I mean, right now, Parks has been helping me with some little issues that we have at a park that we have where I live, the New Lions Club. It's one of the oldest, small one, but of course little issues come up. And I've asked their cooperation and help. And in fact, I can tell you right now, they've been very, very helpful. Everything has been, a solution has been found for everything. There's a couple of more things that I've spoken to Ms. Briones about, but she's so helpful that she's going to go look at it and maybe even talk to Ms. Georgia Olga about it. If not, I guess I'll have to step in. But like I say, it's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you all for letting me in and inviting me. And I'm at your disposal. I mean, if you need anything from me, I'll be more than happy to help.
Can you tell us a little bit about what was going on at the park? Is this the one by the mall?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you access? Is that the one? I always go to the mall and then I see it, like it's really nice park, but I can't access it because there's a chain link fence.
Yes.
That's the one. How do I get to that one? It looks so nice.
One way. It's only one way in and out on Gallagher.
Okay, all right.
Spring-
You come on Hillside and turn on
It's
Gallagher.
like a
Yes.
super nice park, and every time I drive by it, I think I've got to figure out how to get in there.
Yeah, and being that, let's just say I have the time to go out and check and see and recommend things to Ms. Briones, and the police have also been very helpful. Because unfortunately, we ran into a situation where there wasn't enough lighting. I guess that's an issue with a lot of parks. But my neighbors and I have found drug paraphernalia in the kiddie park, and there's no need for that. So we've approached Ms. Briones and the police. We had our neighborhood watch meeting with the police. The chief came out and other officers, and the neighbors that went to them, they were content as you can imagine. Seldom do they talk to the police because they're scared, unfortunately. And like I say, I'm an old wheel, and I guess I get the grease the more I squeak. But like I say, it's helping us for a better life for us, being that we go and walk around there. But I'm looking for a little bit of extra for the kids, a little bit safer, maybe a little bit more of amenities that they can be gotten. But this is something we're working on. And like I said, Parks has been very, very helpful, and I appreciate it. And I'll tell all of you, because I always give credit where it's due. Seldom do you all get good comments. So might as well, if there's good comments to give, I will give them to you.
Thank you. Well, I know Parks is doing a great job, and I'm glad that you brought that park up. Is it possible to have a little like gate to go in it from the mall side?
No, because it's very high. The entrance will be very high from the mall park. In fact, Parks just went, at the recommendation, of course, of the police and the residents, there was an opening on the cyclone fence, and the first resident that lives there. An opening, I don't know, about this big, but people go in and out through there. Where do the kids that, let's just say, might use these drugs go? They go in through there. You know? But they went today, and they put a couple of poles up there, and they cease entrance to the property. They're going to come in, they'll come into the property.
And one of the concerns at the mall was not so fond of putting a door there, was because people would end up parking at the mall, and they don't want anybody parking at the mall, so that is private property. So they, you know, I know that was a concern back then, and I'm sure it still is now. They just wouldn't want anyone
I
parking.
would imagine they have enough parking, especially as they lose tenants.
Oh, yes.
Different
I
issue.
really. But again, like I say, I plan to come to more meetings, if so invited. And I mean, any information I can give you input, I'll be more than happy to. But like I say, I come to learn, because unfortunately, we don't know too much what's going on.
Well, welcome. I
Thank
actually
you.
really enjoyed that we had a guest today. We don't normally get people coming in unless they're, you know, the engineers or developers. So it's kind of, it's nice having somebody come in.
It really does. We don't get too many citizens to participate in the STDC in Zapata every 3 months. We don't get it. It's just, like you said, the board members, that's it.
Yeah. So welcome. You're
Thank you
welcome
very
to come
much.
back
Thank you all.
anytime. What is it? The second Wednesday of the month? Second Wednesday of the month. Unless there's a holiday or something. Otherwise, we're here.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you for talking.
And we agree that the staff is fabulous. Everything
yes.
that we, pick their brain about, they come up with the information quickly, or if they don't have it on hand, they'll have the following meeting or address concerns really quickly. And then,
You all know you have good staff. It's unfortunate that people out there don't know. And this is where I come in, because I relay what they do. And they go further on and relay it further on, and eventually you'll get good reports.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff reports. Anything for staff reports?
We have a copy of the ordinance. Yes, so that's the new one. But there's also, you didn't include the one for the west. The change of the parking. Oh, no, that was, I couldn't get it yet.
Wasn't on the-
Yeah, the parks, the recreation instead of parks and leisure, okay.
We did a modification, just for your knowledge. Back when we had the library, there's two issues, major issues that came about that council wanted us to look at. One was fees for our veterans. the other one was fees for our seniors. So we decided to clean up the ordinance. There had been modifications over the years, and so there was bits and pieces that had been taken out, moved, changed. So we cleaned up the ordinance, and one of the things that we looked at was Parks and Recreation Department years ago, when the library was under the department, was changed to Parks and Leisure Services Department. And anytime we would speak with people out of Laredo, Parks and what?
Yeah.
Oh, Parks and Rec. Okay. And so what we did is we modified it. We brought it back to what its name was. So we are now known again. This was approved at last council. A final reading was last council meeting. So we are now known as the Parks and Recreation Department. We're working on a new logo. And so hopefully within the next few weeks we'll bring back the old one. No, we're excited. I mean, everybody, we call, in-house we called it Parks and Rec, but you know, on paper and stuff. So we're excited about that. And then also, final reading was approved for the veterans to waive membership fees to all recreation centers. And that was approved at council, as I said, and it is already taking place right now. And also waive the membership fees for any seniors ages 62 and up at all recreation facilities. So, and then there was other minor changes, but those are the highlights.
As, if I may, Ms. Tandy, as to the veterans fees, when will that be finalized?
It has been, as soon as it went through the final reading, it was for immediate implementation. As the way the ordinance was drafted, it was to be enacted immediately.
If I may, I'd like to insert a plug here, but it's because we're working on a legal assistance program for veterans. So all veterans of all all veterans in general are going to be welcome to that event. There's going to be attorneys providing services to them for free, but we're also inviting organizations that have anything that
Benefits.
that have anything that might provide to veterans, that they can set up a booth or shop, and I think that'd be a great communication to send out to veterans. If in case the Parks Department would be interested in having a booth there or something, in that way to inform the veterans that there's free memberships on their recs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is going to be scheduled, this as of now it's scheduled for May 18th. So, but I can go ahead and forward all the information once it's set up.
Please do. I know our public information officer
Say
is
it.
going to jump right on.
He was listening. Of course,
Because we can have membership applications there.
Absolutely.
And so that's going to expedite the process. That'll be great.
So I have a question. Going forward, then we are not going to be approving any more parkland dedications based on this final reading of the ordinance?
We can present to you as information as to what is it that we are recommending, but it had no action to on those, but we can just, bring them over to you for your information before we take it to planning and zoning and further to council.
What is council hoping Parks and Rec Board will do going forward? Like, what is their vision, since we're no longer doing action items? Is it more just kind of the eyes and ears of the community? Is it recommending programming, or have they not specified anything?
That hasn't been specified. There's been no language, no words exchanged, but that's the desire. I'll share with you something. One of our council members has a committee, and I thought that's similar to what this is. It's eyes and ears for the council member, because if one person reaches so many people, 6 or 10 reach that many more. And so I think that's what the purpose, that's what this is evolving to. eyes and ears and to find out what's happening and to help us. What do you hear? How can we, our day-to-day activities, our new projects, programs, what have you. Master plan, as I said, is coming up. We should have it finalized by August. So, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening in the department, and it'd be really good before, as we're going forward, to hear what the community likes and has a more of a desire for, or we'd like to see, or we've heard a lot of talk about this, and because the master plan is giving us a plan, it's giving us a direction, but how do you get there? And so there's so many elements that still need addressing, and as I said, this hasn't been spoken. Exactly what is the role? But this is what we see as the role is moving forward.
I can tell you that District 6, Marta Martinez has a District 6 meeting, and we meet once a month at the airport. It's a kind of a mandatory meeting, you have to be there. And all his appointees go. And for example, at the last one, the guy that's on the utilities committee, he was talking about the problems with the utilities department and stuff like that. And then fire department, the rep there, he spoke about his stuff. When my turn came up, I know the councilman asked me to ask about a jungle gym that's an extra jungle gym, where that's going to be placed, and we're looking for a spot for it in District 6 if we can, every committee gets a chance to speak, and then they kind of give an update of what's going on in their area. It's actually very informative, and if there's anything that kind of ties in parks to whatever, then we kind of go back and forth. But that's what District 6 does. I encourage it for all districts, but it really works. It helps. It's a very good tool to communicate. We even had the RMA for Laredo, what's the RMA stand for? The authority, the regional mobility. The rep that represents the area districts, he even showed up and he sat in the meeting. We had the Women's City Club was there. Women's City Club, is it? The appointee for that, she was there. So everybody gets a chance to. It's a long meeting, but at least you get to hear what they're going through. So it's nice.
Kind of like a grassroots. Well, it is a grassroots.
It is, and then a lot of them speak their mind as far as when it comes to parks, like what they want to see in their park and everything. So that's kind of where we get the feedback. But I didn't get butchered this time, but it happens. It happens.
Are there any items for next meeting?
I did want to discuss, I know I didn't make it in here, but we can definitely talk about it for the staff reports.
Okay.
Because there's no action taken.
Okay.
Or to be taken. Staff had met, this was when previous council member Roque was here, and they had done a tour, because this is one of the things that he noticed, and the pool had been vacant for so many years, which is not good for a pool. And so a company did the walkthrough years ago, and as I said, and he said you're looking at $250,000 to fix this pool. Well,
A company?
Yes, it was a company. Okay, so after our discussion at the last meeting, I asked staff to bring in a company and let's get specs and find out what are we looking at. We need to get it up to par, not just patched. And so the price was much more extensive than what we had originally anticipated. And the areas that they're looking at is literally demolishing the pool. The structure is no longer strong enough to be able to just plaster over. Reconstruct the pool to the proper specs. New plumbing, new electricity, new lights, gutters, motors, filters, drain, mechanical room, cool deck, and heaters. 1.5. That's an estimation. And he doesn't want to give us a quote. This is one company in Laredo. He didn't want to give us a quote because what normally happens is they give us specs and we go out and we write specs using their specs, go out for bid using their specs. And then either they will get the bid or they won't get the bid. And I've just invested 2 days coming up with specs for you. And I didn't get the job. Well, we can't promise the job to anybody. The system, the legal system takes care of that. So you're looking at approximately $1.5 million to take it back, literally demolish and rebuild.
Okay, it's 1.5. And then what are the boundaries of the park's property there? Because you have a parking lot, okay? You have that funeral, the old funeral home, that would not be considered park property? That corner?
We are going to need to get the parameters for you. If I'm not mistaken, it only includes the pavilion and the fenced-in area and the pavilion.
Well, because you have that parking lot there, and then there,
And the parking lot.
to the
Right.
west, I guess there was old handball, back in the day when I was younger, there was handball courts, racquetball courts, I guess you'd say, remember?
And tennis courts.
Tennis-
And tennis courts. If
So
you
to
look on the
see-
map, it's actually still on the map as tennis courts.
Yeah. So you have all that land, so, I mean, you say 1.5, it sounds like a lot, but if you consider, if you were to go out and do it and purchase that land, and then on top of that put 1.5, you're talking about a lot of money. So here, it's not, I mean, we have the land, so
That
that's a
is
good thing.
city-owned land,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a good thing. So, well, the reason I wanted to get the numbers is because, I was talking to the councilman, and he wanted to talk to the councilwoman and see if maybe they can start a grassroots kind of, to raise funds somehow to pay for it, whether it be private sector or something like that, but we would need the scope of what it would kind of look like in order to present and go into the different districts and try to get support for this. And then try to look for money, maybe the county getting involved. So that's kind of why we're needing to know that. But if we could start off with the land, at least we'll know what kind of room we have there, and then we can move from that.
Since the pool has to be demolished, is there any thoughts about increasing the size, the length of it?
Would you want to go 25 more meters?
Right.
I think that kicks you right into
Competition.
Yeah.
the parking lot. But I mean, if we knew the layout of the land, then we could see how it fits. You know what I mean? But right now, the way it sits, you couldn't tell because I don't know where the boundaries are. So,
We can get you a parameter.
something, yeah. And we'll start.
Right now, it's 25 meters.
Most of the pools in Laredo are 25 meters, but she's talking about an Olympic size.
Yeah, it would
which
be
is
nice
50.
to have an Olympic-sized pool, and especially if you're talking about heaters, then you're already looking at something year-round, and you can put a canopy over it.
Typically, they go to this like 6-foot pools. They don't
Mhm.
go deeper than 6, and then they run them extra long. So
I mean, I think UISD has a pool like that with a canopy over it, but that they use year-round that's heated.
the indoor pool.
Is it indoors?
They're off of
It's indoor. I thought it was
Off of-
outside with
no.
a canopy over it.
No, it's indoor.
It's indoor.
Over Lindenwood?
Yeah.
It's indoor.
And if you've ever been to a swim meet, it's packed with kids. I mean, they just pack them in there. It's really, we just need more space. So that's why this was kind of an idea to get some high school events going on there, if we could, to generate some funds. But anyway, it's an idea.
We have our first timing system at North Central, and we had our meet. It's got the pads, and it's got the kick bar.
When you have a meet?
Several months ago.
Missed it. Cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. We had a lot of schools from the valley,
Mhm.
and it was our first one. We hadn't done one, our first one.
Mhm.
One in Laredo hadn't been done for years. And so we had a lot of people come in, and it was really exciting.
Let's have a Border Olympics, see if we
Very
can pick it up
expensive. Yeah.
and do it. That'd be something to do.
That would be.
Okay.
Okay, we'll make sure that this gets on the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll be able to discuss it and hopefully maybe I can get one of these pool companies to actually spec it out for me.
Okay.
It's difficult to do. I mean, they're working free and they know that,
Yeah.
but what do you think?
I know a guy. Your woman.
I know a guy. Is that gonna be the joke now?
Madam Chair, if I may, for next meeting, I'd like to ask that we could get a list of grants that have been given to the Parks and Leisure Department through
Parks and
these, the past few, Parks and Rec. through the last few years. I was in a conversation a few weeks ago with people from the state, and I asked if there was a deadline for possibly the city applying for some grants. I'm not sure if the park department itself has a grant writer or the city as a whole, but I know that they're working on that and it's in the process. But as of this year, we've met the deadline with the state. For example, the Texas Parks and Wildlife is one, and some members that I was speaking with from that commission were saying that it's something that we can look forward to in the future, especially now with the grant writer coming along. So that's something that we'd like to see, and then if the grants that we've received, what have they, what have we established from them? So that way we can, have a plan for the future.
We've applied to Texas Parks and Wildlife in the past. One of the requirements is to have an updated master plan. And that's the reason why we're working on this Parks and Open Space Master Plan, so hopefully we can have it ready by August. And the deadline is October to apply for 2 grants. I believe they have an indoor and outdoor. They also have another one for trails. And so yeah, we are getting ready to be able to apply for these through Texas Parks and Wildlife. There's other grants out there.
And I think that with the master plan that we had seen with the trail layout that we had seen, it was very good. So hopefully that would really put us on the map as to have all the connecting trails as the master plan really indicates. So we can definitely push on that and make those phone calls to Austin.
Absolutely.
Those are the ones that have the most, the deepest pockets, if you will, on the grant system. It's Texas Parks and Wildlife. So I think the last grant we had was over 15 years ago, and I want to say it was over $1 million.
That's what I was advised, probably when we
last
had
large
another
one.
administration.
We also had, I think Independence Hills is one of them, that park was done through the grant. I'm not sure if it was 500,000, the 250 and 250, the match. That's an outdoor recreation.
If I could just make a comment, Ana Galo sits on the commission for that, which is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if in the future maybe we could do an official tour for her of our parks, and do the whole VIP type thing. Chairman drives with her, and they go to the parks and show status of some of our parks, and kind of just really, for lack of a better way of saying it, kiss up to our appointee by the governor, because it is a big deal, and in hopes that maybe we could talk to her about some of the things we need, and then she can kind of push our grants through if she knows. If she doesn't, if we're writing grants and we don't tell her, then when she goes to a meeting, she doesn't know what to push for. But if we kind of bring her in, maybe she has some time and we can do a special visit to some of our rec centers, especially if the kids are there, and just do something nice, and maybe she can help with some grants. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure she loved that. She was part of the conversation I was in, so she's been very open to some of the ideas that we might push forward that way. But of course, I'm not sure if they meet with the when the House and the Senate are in session. Is it every other year? So we'll have to find that out.
Well, the grant system is the same way. Some grants are only in even years.
Yes.
And so that's possible.
Yeah, so definitely we'll find out the details on that. And
maybe the mayor can show her around or something like that, and get some PR out of it, and put her in the newspaper and all that fun stuff. Maybe that'll help us. Whatever it takes to get some money.
We can always showcase our success stories with our parks, and ones that need a lot of help, so they can see, wow, and it's like, oh, this is the one that we want to help with.
That's exactly. This is what we could do when we have the money.
Yes.
This is what we need.
This is where we are. This is why we need the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Is there any
So we'll
other,
have that information for you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
are there any other items for next meeting? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Also, ask if you could find out when the zone they were
Take
presenting.
the agenda.
It's a new zone. So the mobile home lots are 42
So I put today's date.
Right. Now they went to 36.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, which is
Thank you.
13.
So, when you're doing the mobile home